Hello and welcome back to the Resto Saga Classic Car Restoration YouTube channel, and this is another installation on the build series of the Toylander 1. This is episode 5. You can find the other 4 preceding this on the channel, and this has proved quite a popular series and there seems to be a lot of interest even outside of the Land Rover community because it's just a good fun thing, and I'm really hoping my wee son gets the best out of it whenever it's finished. So the last episode finished up with the build of this tub here. So this is the rear tub, the chassis, the floor, that's the slot for the throttle, and this is the engine bay as such. This is one of the inner wings ready to go on. This is the driver's side one because that there is the slot for the steering column, so that it's going to be right hand drive. So that's on that side. This is the rear panel, incorporating the sides of the rear sides of the tub and the cross member. Those two wee sticky out bits there still need to be trimmed, but that is going to go on the back, roughly here, as such. That's another part of that which has to be added later. And this is the other inner wing. And these little quadrants here are just to hold the aluminium wing corner. And that's the left hand wing. So, as explained prior, these body sides went off to have a bit of work done to them by a friendly little joiner. I'll turn this over. What I've been able to get done is this edge here, and just see the join there has been routed into a slight curve, just as you would find on the real Land Rover, just there. So that's that. And these little slots here have been machined in. It's just done using a plunge saw, and that's a 2mm slot, 1mm deep. This is where the wing joins the bulkhead, and this is where the bulkhead becomes the front door, and this is where the door comes to the rear tub, and that's at a slight angle, 5 degrees I believe, and that is to mimic the door. So whenever that's painted, I'll fill this with black paint, and that'll show where the doors are. These of course doors do not open. Looking around here then, this panel here has also been done, routed this edge, and then cut these slots here for the doors. And the other bit of work I had done was, this is the bulkhead. This edge here has been routed, just to round it off, as per the plans. And this edge here, not sure if that comes through, has been cut at 15 degrees, and that's where the windscreen mounts onto. And then therefore the windscreen doesn't sit vertical but sits slightly back at an angle. And that wee bit of a rake I think will be really nice, and that was done also by my friendly joiner. So as you're just sitting there waiting for the glue to join, clamps are on. So what I'm doing at the minute, if I turn this back over, and it's marking on where the battens that will join this side panel to that tub chassis are going, and that's as per the plans. So sorry about a shadow. Front edge batten, top edge goes along here with a 12mm gap for the wing top, and then there's some battens come here and here to support the rear seat, and there's another batten comes down the back here, and then there's some reinforcing battens come along the bottom here, but the plans just aren't entirely clear how to fit all this together. So I'm going to start here, work my way backwards, start from the front, work my way into the middle, and then work out my measurements. Quite a complicated panel, and I've 2 of them to do. So what I'm going to do is cut out my batten, stick it on, and I'll join you in a wee second when I've made a bit more progress. This particular video is going to be shot over a couple of days, so if there's a bit of continuity, difference in continuity with light and so on, do bear with me, but I don't have all that time to do it one today. So I'll catch you up in a second or two, and I'll have a few battens stuck on here and we'll take it from there. And here we are back again. As you can probably tell, this is the next day because it's significantly less sunny, but I've started putting some battens on this side panel. This is the little quadrant I was telling you about for the aluminium capping. The batten to set the front of the wing against, batten to set the top of the wing against, and this is where the bulkhead mounts to as well. Slight problem with one of these screws is that it went a little bit too deep here, but I should be able to sand it off. Just got a bit enthusiastic with the drill, which is slightly annoying. So that's where I'm at now. So now I'm going to move on to, there's another batten goes here, one across the top of the wing, one across the back, and a vertical one at the back. And there's also a handbrake mounting to go in here as well, so I'll have to fabricate that and put it in. So getting somewhere, hopefully be able to get this side finished today and get it attached to the chassis it's sitting waiting. Catch you up in a wee second once I have a bit more work done. Success! That is one side on. Now it's not actually screwed on at the minute, it's just held on there by tension, but as I showed you just a second ago, this is the front batten for the wing. It's just resting there, nice consistent gap there along the bottom of that panel, which does get closed up with a sill. And in behind here, that's a hole for the handbrake mechanism. This little batten here just squeezes between these two parallel ones that are run along the heel board. Seat of the base of the seat even, if I could talk. And then this is a support for the rear wing inner. And then this is the back, where, all being well, if I lift this up, that will fit there, sort of. Just needs a bit of adjustment, but I think that's pretty good. Pretty pleased with that. So definitely making a bit of progress. And it's nice to see things starting to come together, which is always reassuring. Now that's only held on with me there, it just needs a bit of adjustment. Remember, I talked these two panels here are not quite parallel, but that's will all come with a bit of adjustment. Really pleased with that. Now I just need to get the second side panel done and get it attached. Now that one was quite fiddly and working out the measurements. It's all, as I said earlier, the instructions aren't actually that great for this. You need to follow one batten on from another, which I don't like, because then if you make any errors, they're carried forward throughout the panel. So you have to be really careful. Measure twice, cut once, as they say. But we're getting there, definitely. And I'm really pleased as to how this is turning out. So I'm going to take some measurements, make sure this is all sitting true and correct, and then start on to the second panel. Maybe if I just put some screws in it for the minute to hold it as it is. But starting to look like a Land Rover, which is exciting. And my wee boy's just been out to have a look at it, and he, I think, approves. Certainly hit it hard enough with the screwdriver, so I think that's a sign of approval. Catch you in a minute. Just another wee look before I start on the other side. Got the bulkhead set in. Really pleased with how this has come. Yes, there's a wee bit of a gap, but whenever you all press it together, it comes nicely. Rear panel, as I showed you before. Just checking my clearances on the plans. There's meant to be a consistent 16mm gap here along the bottom of the side panel to the floor, and mine is 17, which, given the fact that I've done this all with a jigsaw and a pencil and a ruler, I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to quickly move on to the other side, get the side panel done. It was quite a hassle to get this one done, but get the other side panel done, start screwing it together, and hopefully have this looking like a well progressing tub by the end of this video is the plan. Mind you, I do have some inner wings to put on, so if I can keep moving, I think I'll really make a good dent in it. So catch you in a second when I do the other side panel. Just to show you this trick before I cut all my batten, I have marked out all the various pieces as to where I'm going to stick what, but on the batten, to see me running and out to the jigsaw, I have the batten all marked in the lengths, and then I mark them on so I can 256mm, 118mm, 205mm, and that's the entire length. Plus two extra bits here, and this is a sill finisher. So just to show you, that's my system. And I'm going to get these cut, get them drilled, screwed on, and then we'll be ready to stick the second side together considerably quicker than this one, because I've done it on one already. And there you go, quick as that. I've got all the battens cut to length with the jigsaw. There's all my numbers marked on so I know where they go on this fairly complicated plan. Well, complicated for me, I'm not a joiner, but what I'm going to do is sand all the edges off, tidy them up, and then they'll be ready to put on. This is the passenger side, or the left hand side of the vehicle, because it's a right hand drive model, so I don't need to put the handbrake mechanism mount in here, because that's the park pivot in the right hand drive, which I've already done in that one. It doesn't quite line up, so that might need looked at, but something to consider anyway. So tidy these up, put them on, set them out. I'm going to drill all my countersink holes, drill all the holes for the screws, and then get them glued up, clamped and stuck down, and you'll catch me up in a wee second. And there we go, all the battens being sanded off. Some of you are maybe wondering what I'm using. Rather than sandpaper, I use these sanding blocks, just because there's a little bit of flexibility in them. They hold together, they don't rip, and they actually last quite long, and they're good for taking the rough edges off the batten. So that's what I'm using for that. I have all the battens countersunk, drilled and set roughly in place, just so I remember where I'm going. Now I just have to put the little quadrant in here for the wing edge, and then that's really my starting point for the front, which gets you your gap in between here, which gets you this, which then gets you this, and then these are independent at the back. So start at the front, then at the back, and then do this bit here. And there we go, that is the passenger side, or left hand side of the body panels done. Really quite a lot faster this time, just because I had it all pre-cut, drilled and countersunk. Checked all the measurements, I wiped all the excess glue off. Everything's sitting as it should be. This is the clamp on the quadrant. Interesting thing about this, the instructions do say that you should screw that, but they tell you to screw it with 30mm long screws. Now, this is 12mm, this is 12mm, 12 and 12 is 24, and if you put a 30mm screw through that, you're going to get 6mm at least of protrusion, which is really not what we need. So I've just glued it, and I'm reliably informed that glue is actually stronger than the screws. So there you go, let's put it all together now, check it out, and see what it all looks like in one piece. The glue does say not to put stress on it before 24 hours, so what I'll probably do is just put the whole body shell together, clamp it up, and see what it looks like rather than screw it all together tonight. Because the last thing I want to do is wreck all my joints and put it out of square. So let's see what that looks like. And there we have it. Quite significant progress today, if I might say so myself. Side panels on, bulkhead sitting, and this is the chassis rear tub. That was part of the last video. All fitting together quite nicely. A few wee bits of adjustment here and there. If you notice around the back, this needs to come in a bit and that needs to go out a little bit, but that's okay. Shouldn't be too hard to fix that. Nice consistent gaps along the bottom. A little bit of a step here and a bit of a step here. Not really sure I can do a whole lot about that, but it won't make a detrimental effect. Next up is really to put the bulkhead, screw it and sit in place. Got it up, make sure it's all nice and square, and then the inner wings are going in, and the front end is really the next major project. So next video you see, I'll be screwing this all together to make sure it's all nice and square, and it's going to look good once it's in paint. So far I'm really pleased. As you know, I've been doing this with fairly basic tools, and it's come together really nicely, and I think it's going to look really smart. And my wee son, he's only 1.5, but I think he's pretty interested in it. So there you go, part 4 of the Toylander One Build series complete. Still lots of panels sitting there, the Land Rover sitting outside, and a few more bits and bobs here as well. So I think I'm going to need to buy some clamps really if I'm going to go any further with this. My G clamps, which I use for welding, are only so good. I think I need some of the big long joiners clamps to hold the whole thing together and make it nice and square. So I'm going to have to look into investing in that. My little picnic table workbench has actually worked out really well. So definitely really pleased how it's coming on. Please keep tuned. Plenty more than this coming along. I have a build series, restoration, undergoing start of restoration on the Land Rover coming along, and a few more buyer's guides and some guest cars coming along too. So plenty happening on the channel. Hit the subscribe button, and I reply to all my comments, as you know, and would really appreciate your support. See you again next week. Thanks for watching.